everyone, I'm your lovely host Innocent, and welcome to Evermore, a choose-your-own Edgar Allan Poe adventure. I don't know about you, but I really like Poe. He was one of the first writers that got me into poetry and made me really, really like poetry. Now, if you've ever read any of his works, which I assume you have because he's great, you understand why I like him. I mean, if you know me. If you don't, I like creepy. Yes. Anyway, I found this game while browsing itch.io. And for October, I want to do a lot more indie horror games, because I think the only one I own is Amnesia: The Dark Descent, and yeah, I don't really want to play that because it's like so overplayed on YouTube that I don't want to touch it. But I got it for free, so I have it. Let me know if you want me to play it. I can try. I don't know. I don't remember the story at all. I watched somebody play it when it first came out. Thinking about it, it might be even PewDiePie. I don't remember. Anyway, I don't usually play choose-your-own-adventure games, but I'm making an exception for my Edgar Allan Poe. So, you are mad, tortured by delusions of complex arabesque design, beset by infathomable horrors that plague your mind's eye. Belonging by heritage to wealthy aristocratic stock, you have always been possessed of a singular, sensitive disposition. But recently, the world of perception. Yes, the world of prescription. You know where this is going. Anyway, the world of perception has exerted a strain upon your facilities, such that fearful intuition that wont to overwhelm the cerebral vaults of epicitum. I know how to pronounce words. Anyway, thus proceed with caution, brave Fenrir, and be sure to consult your Manual of Forgotten Lore before exerting that oft ill-used, irresistible element of the perverse known as free will. Begin your descent into the maelstrom. The unendurable oppression of the lungs, the stifling fumes of the damp earth, the clinging to the death garments, the rigid embrace of the narrow house, the blackness of the absolute night, the silence, like a sea that overwhelms. You are in the unseen but palatable presence of the conqueror worm. I like the conqueror worm. Oh, speaking of the conqueror worm, this is going to be like just me, but I'm gonna rant about Aurelio Votaler for like a moment here, because when his album dropped with the Conqueror Worm, I was so ecstatic, and I listened to that song on repeat, and it might be my favorite one off the album. Anyway, the boundaries which divide life and death are best shadowy and vague. Who shall say where one ends and the other begins? Begins? You uplift the heavy lids of your eyes. It is dark, all dark. Dark as the night? You endeavor to shriek, but no voice issues from your lungs, which oppressed as if the weight of some incremental mountain grasp at every elaborate and struggling inspiration of breath. Moving your jaw in an effort to cry aloud, you find that you are bound. You feel that you are laid upon some hard substance, with your arms closed about your sides. You become fully aware of the awful horrors of your position. You are the tenant of gravel. You're living in gravel, if you don't understand that. It took me a moment. Throwing up your arms, you strike a solid wooden surface. Ow! That must really hurt. Extending above your person at an elevation of not more than 6 inches from your face. Fortuitously, the lid of the coffin has been so contrived that the feeblest movement inside is sufficient to set you at liberty, and with your genuflection, the lid springs open. Climbing out, you find yourself within a dank and saturine tomb. About you there is a lamp left high upon a shelf, a lever extending far into the tomb, a large bell suspended from the roof of the tomb with its rope hanging down before you, and a worm-blasted door that stands at your right. O thou entombed, which path should be taken? Taking the lamp seems... No. It is a heavy oil lamp made of tarnished brass. It is empty. Any oil it contained has evaporated by now. You put it back on the shelf. That's just sad. Pull the lever, Kronk! Standing perpendicular to its length, you wretchedly pull the lever, which yields a ferocity of creaking. The wrought iron panel that bars entrance to the tomb, heavens be, swings open and you emerge from your ghoulish keep, dilapidated and weak of heart, into dimly lit cemetery, moss-clotted and in a state of banal, like gloomy deterioration. Big words, innocent, you can do it. Any notions you held of picturesque polyandrums? Fuck it. Are extinguished from your mind like a funeral candle fatally snuffed by the ashes of desecrated finger. A hapless tourist in the house of the dead, you decide to make haste from the cemetery at once and rejoin that endless throng let corpses like blackened blood through the streets of the bustling metropolis. Oh, I'm giddy. Don't mind me. Not Gideon. Giddy, as in happy. Yes. Big words! We're using big words today, guys. Speaking otherwise is, well, it's something. No! Shut up! Anyway, having escaped from the saturine tomb that so nearly claimed you for slumbering eternity, you find yourself in one of those happy moods so precisely the converse of ennui. Words elude me today. Yet some don't. A mood of the keenest appetency, in which the consternations that have kept you in the good senses are released. Merely to breathe this enjoyment, you deserve positive pleasure even from the many legitimate sources of pain. How whimsical and pathetic has been your suffering. Internally, you discourse a garrulously? Sure, upon the various grotesque scenes that prelude this present moment, which now pass across your mind's eye as pictures of phantasmagoria? Sure. You feel calm, but inquisitive interest in everything. The crowd was What did my throat just do? Are you okay? The crowd which streams about you, the tumultuous sea of human heads, fills you with a delicious novelty of emotion, and you regard with minute interest the innumerable varieties of figure, dress, air, gait, visage, and expression of countenance. Internally, you pontificate a while upon the crowd. By far the greater number of those who walk by you have a satisfied business-like demeanor, and seem to be thinking only of making their way through the press. Their brows are knit and their eyes roll quickly when pushed against by fellow wayfarers. When pushed pushed against by fellow wayfarers, they evidence no symptoms of impatience, but adjust their clothes in a hurry and hurry on. Others, still numerous class, are restless in their movements, have flushed faces, and talk and gesticulate to themselves, as if feeling in solitude on account of every denseness of the company around. If jostled, they bow profusely to the jostler, and appear overwhelmed with confusion. These men do not greatly excite your attention. Dots. Of greater interest are number of individuals of dashing appearances, whom you easily understand as belonging to the ever-swelling race of pickpockets, with which all great cities are infested. You watch the shadowy gentry with much inquisitiveness, and find it difficult to imagine how they should ever be mistaken for gentlemen by gentlemen themselves. Their voluminousness of wristbands displayed with their air of excessive frankness should betray them at once. Let us gaze yet further. Descending in the scale of what term gentility, you find the darker and deeper themes for speculation. Piemen, porters, coal heavers, sweeps, organ grinders, monkey exhibitors, and ballad monglers. Mongers. Words. Those who vend intermingled with those who sing. Ragged artisans and exhausted laborers of every description, and all full of noisy, inordinate vivacity, which jar disordinately upon your ear and give an aching sensation to your eye. Look still further or depart from the crowd to explore a snickleway. What is a snickleway? What is a snickleway? I forgot. An alley! An alley of York. Small streets and footpaths do these things. This is a snickleway. Okay. Good to know. Let's see. I'm getting annoyed apparently, so let's depart from the crowd. Departing from the crowd, you enter a narrow and roughly cobblestone snickleway. The dirt walls are of crooked houses pressed in tight against you. Keep walking. Oh, I lagged apparently. The air is cold and misty. The paved stones loosen from their beds, lie in wild disorder amidst the tall, rank grass which springs up around your feet and ankles. Fallen houses choke up the streets. The most fetid and poisonous smells everywhere prevail. And by the aid of that ghastly light, which, even at midnight, never fails to emanate your vapory and pestilent atmosphere, you discern, lying in the bypass and alleys, and rotting in the windowless habitations, the carcass of many a nocturnal plunder, arrested by the hand of the plague in the very preparations of his robbery. We're walking. You feel suddenly dizzy. The street swims before you. You suffer a sharp pain and profusely bleed at the pores. Your body is soon stained scarlet. You have ventured into the condemned district and fallen victim to the Red Death Plague. You are dead. Restart. I'm dead. What else should I do? What else should I do when I'm dead? You know what? Since we're here, let's boldly pull on the rope, shall we? Oh no, we're dead. Never mind. Well, actually, wait. Let me read it. You pull boldly on the rope, causing the bell to issue a tremendous clang that resounds through the realms of the subterranean night. A ray of moonlight illuminates the cold stones, and 3 shadowy silhouettes clutching shovels gaze down at you from above. Hello there, says a gruff voice. Oh, that wasn't a gruff voice I used. What the devil's the matter, says a second. Get out of there, says a third. Hereupon you are seized and shaken without ceremony, for several minutes, by a gento of very rough-looking individuals. Crack! You are knocked back into the head. You are knocked on the back of your head with a shovel. You are dead. You is dead. You are dead. You dead? You dead. Let us restart. Yes. I'm actually going to brave the moldering door. You try the moldering door. It is resolute and unyielding. Your fancy grows charnel. Perchance some hideous nameless bulk bars your entry to within? This awful conviction forces itself into the innermost chambers of your soul, and you struggle to not to cry aloud. Perhaps it would be advisable to retreat? No. The door, hollow from within by the sedulousous industry of the Deathwatch beetle, falls to pieces before the concentrated efforts of your fist. The wet, rotting wood splits asunder. Words to rest in the riven slumber upon the saturine floor. Yet, no sooner than the fruit is born of your pugilistic endeavors, a long, wild, and contorted shriek, or yell of agony, issues from your throat. As the door yields so too does some white apparelled object fall rattling within your arms. Inspection reveals a grim spectre to be none other than the desiccated skeleton of the Mademoiselle Victron Lafourcade? That lady. And yet her unmelted shroud. With the consummated care and delicacy appropriate for the lady's former beauty, you lower the obscene and frightful corpse de l'amour to rest upon the stone floor at the entrance of the shadowed chamber, revealed through the tumultuous dissolution of the worm-blasted mahogany door. Mahogany. Perform an oracle interrogation of the body and reflect upon its former occupant's tragic fate, or enter the shadowed chamber. What shall we do? Let's enter. With a sustained exercise of will, you pass through into the shadowed chamber. The chamber holds two closed caskets. Next to the nearest casket lies a little box of no remarkable character. Look into the nearest casket, look into the ebony casket, or take the box. Let's look into the ebony one because the door was ebony. That makes sense, yes? A young lady of aristocratic features lies, her cheeks possessing a wanness even more than that of marble, her lips shriveled and pinched up in a ghastly expression of death. Her figure swayed with the bandages and drapples of the grave. Gathering your self-position, you lower again the ebony lid of the casket's final My mouth decided not to work there. Yet, could it be but the fearful creaking of the wood upon its hinges? You feel that a sob, low, gentle, but very distinct, has come from the bed of ebony, the bed of death. You strain your vision to detect any motion in the corpse, but there is not the slightest perceptible. Many minutes elapse in agony of superstitious terror. At length it becomes evident that a slight, very feeble change of color has flushed up within the cheeks and along the sunken small veins of the eyelids. There can be no doubt that the grave markers were precipitate in their preparation. The lady lives! Wild-eyed, you gaze about the chamber seeking an exit. It is to no avail. And you cast your eyes down again. The color disappears from the figure's cheeks, and a repulsive calmness and coldness overspreads the surface of her body. Cry for assistance or flee. Flee! Re-enter the tomb, pull the lever. Streets of the bustling metropolis. Blah, blah, blah. Gaze yet further. Let's look still further. As the night deepens, so deepens your interest in the scene. The rays of the gas lamps, feeble at first in their struggle with the dying day, have now at length gained ascendancy and throw over everything in a fitful garnish of lustre. So occupied, your gaze is arrested by the idiocentric expression of a decrepit old man, some 65 or 70 years of age. It is an expression that at once speaks penuriousness. Yep. Let's go with that word. Yep. of a divorcee, of coolness, of malice, of a bell-tinging, of bloodthirstiness, of triumph, of merriment, of excessive terror, of devilry, of languor, of cunning, of ennui, of pride. How do I pronounce this word? How the fuck?
Ennui.
Ennui. Ennui. Thank you, Google. Of ennui, of pride, of supreme despair. Gazing at this face, you are singularly aroused. There comes with you a craving desire to keep the man in view. You must know more. Already he disappears into the thicket of the crowd. You decide either to pursue at a pace or wait. I don't know what to do. Because from reading what this is, basically they're combining all of Edgar Allan Poe's poems and essays and everything into one concisive narrative. And I'm like, I want to get to my favorite ones. Where are they? How do I get to them? And of course, there's no what do you call it? Guide for this. So I'm like, well, I can't look it up and see how I get to such and such, but I'm trying my best, and I don't want to restart so many times, but pursue at a pace. With some tubercular difficulty, you at length come again within sight of the wizened fiend, and fix him sternly within your sights. Examine his person. The old man is short in stature, very thin and extremely feeble. His clothes are filthy and ragged, although the linen, while dirty, is a beautiful texture. Furthermore, does your vision deceive you? Or is that a glimpse of both a diamond and a dagger that you spy in the pocket of his second hand? That. My brain is circuiting at the moment. Please hold on. The air grows humid, and you tie a handkerchief around your mouth on account of your tubercular lungs. The streets fan out into the cross streets, back alleys, and snickle ways. It is a good fortune that you are so dearly acquainted with the geography of this place, else it would be a matter of traversing a twisted maze with passages all alike, as though caught within some infernal game. However, your superb mnemonic facilities allow you to track the Beelzebub figure with ease as a seasoned flâner. Yep. Your tubercular system proving the sole encumbrance of your progress. You follow the whistlers through the fundamentally diabolical personage. For half an hour, the old man holds his way with difficulty along the great thoroughface. You walk close at his elbow, through fear of losing sight of him, throwing glances at his face and casting your voice in intimidation of his steps to obscure your night stalking. Ah, what a devilry! The dead-limb patriarch begins to cross and recross his steps in a black-hearted endeavor to cast off his commendability resolute shadow with subterfuge of his own. God, what the fuck is wrong with me talking today? Again, he precisely retraces his steps, once nearly detecting you as he turns round about with a sudden movement. All at once, the knock-kneed wanderer grows restless and rushes into a bazaar, host to innovative buying and selling. You have a pocket full of teeth. You may attempt to sell them. Otherwise, continue to stalk the fiend. Why not? The depravity of the man becomes fast evident as he looks anxiously around him and grows pale. You continue to follow close. He walks moodily some paces down an avenue leading from the bazaar, then, with a heavy sigh, turns in the direction of the river, and, plunging through the great variety of devious ways, emerges at length in the view of the principal theatres. Enter the theatre, confront the lonesome vagabond. Enter the theatre! You have followed a winding path without conclusion for long enough to now seize upon the notion that it would be certain pleasure to engage in a theatrical diversion to entertain your mind. The door of the theatre is low and arched. As you duck through the entranceway, you inhale a considerable quantity of dust, as though the theatre were long abandoned. The stage left bare for Hamlet's ghost to tread upon its boards. Old Vaudreville playbills laid torn and scattered under your feet at the red carpeting appears worn and moth-eaten, the walls mildewed and peeling, yet candles light the way down the passage that seems to lead inexorably to an auditorium. Atrium. Sure, let's go to an atrium. Where a dim glow of muffled sound suggests a performance is underway. Although sharply aware that you have not paid even the most paltry of... You did not pay an entrance fee. An undeniable force within your bosom initiates that you pass through without a ticket and begin the play. What the how do I pronounce this? That. I need a drink. Okay. Basically, we just walked into the middle of the play. We can either take our seat or cast your eyes more thoroughly across the auditorium. Let us cast our eyes. Being possessed of a withdrawing and misanthropic nature, you are not wont to reclude in the concept of love at first sight, considering it is a feminine myth and most frivolously order in spite of modern scientific advances into the study of what might be termed ethical... That. And yet, though you cling to this as an orthodoxy, all your life you have been devoted admirer of the woman, to whom your attentions have been often bestowed. It is therefore in contravention of the latter tendency, and the starkest decision of the former prejudice, that you realize, with a quickening of your heart, that your attentions have been uncharacteristically delinquent with regards to the presence of female beauty. Since nestled demurely in one of the private boxes of otherwise abandoned theatre is a figure whose countenance immediately takes the fullest bloom upon your heart. If you were to live in excess of 1,000 years, you would never forget the instant emotion in which you now regard this figure. It is that of a female, the most exquisite you have ever beheld. The face is so far turned towards the stage that for some minutes you are prevented from attaining any unincumberable view of it, but the feminine form of the face is divine. No other word can sufficiently express the magnificent proportion. Even the term divine seems ridiculously feeble in you, is your inwardly voiced to your immediate disaffectionation. Oh, how such a Madonna could have escaped your observations! Recline backwards in the nearest chair while mentally inventorying this glorious apparition. The magic of the lovely form in a woman, the necromancy of the female gracefulness, has always been a power which you have found impossible to resist. But here sits the very beau ideal of your wildest and most enthusiastic visions. Basically, this is the girl from his dreams. Okay. The figure almost of which constructed the box permits to be seen is somewhat above the medium height, and nearly approaches without positively reaching the majestic. Its perfect fullness and contour are delicious. The head of which only the back is visible, rivals the outline of the Greek psyche, and is rather displayed than concealed by an elegant cap of gaze. I fucking don't know Latin or French. I'm trying to pronounce it as a French word, and I already know it's Latin. I am failing miserably at life. Which puts you in your mind of the ventrum textilium of Apillis. Every nerve in your frame is thrilled with the exquisite symmetry, to speak metaphorically, though not hyperbolically. Before you were gifted with this earthly visitation of your heart, but slumbered. Now, the ingestion of some crimson pill has roused you from the languished quintessence. Ah! The right arm hangs over the bowstress of the box, its upper portion drapered by one of the loose open sleeves now in fashion. This extends but below the elbow. Beneath it is worn and under one of some frail material, close-fitting, and terminated by the cuff of rich lace, which falls gracefully over the top of the hand, revealing only the delicate fingers upon which sparkles a diamond ring, which you immediately notice of extraordinary value. Gaze at this apparition for at least half an hour. You gaze at this queenly apparition for at least half an hour. You stare, besottled, as though converted to stone by some concubilicid witchcraft. I think my mouth was taken over by witchcraft and isn't allowing me to pronounce half of these words. Ah! You see, you feel, you know that you are madly in love. As though the mesmeric intuition or psychic connection of the object of your adoration turns her head partially towards you so that you can fully appraise the blushing profile of the face. Its beauty exceeds even your anticipations. You strongly desire to enter her box and accost her at all hazards, and yet you hang back anxiously that you do not make a premature imposition of yourself. Feast your eyes with great trepidation. You feast your eyes, you perceive, from an almost imperceptible start on the part of a lady, that she has become aware of your intensity of your gaze. Very gradually, as though urged by curiosity to look upon the face of her admirer, she slowly brings her face around to encounter your burning gaze. Her large dark eyes fall instantly, a deep blush mantling her cheeks, and yet the lady does not avert her head for a second time, but takes from her girdle a double eyeglass, elevating it to her right eye and adjusting it, regarding you intently and deliberately for the space of several minutes. Had a thunderbolt fallen at your feet, you could not have been any more thoroughly astounded. The lady, and you immediately perceive that she must feel for you exactly as you do for her, continues to regard you with fixed attention for at least 5 minutes until, bless you, at length she returns the eyeglass to her girdle and begins to arise from her seat. She will surely leave if you do not seize the moment. Act with manly decision. Manly. There is a lot of sexism and everything, but that's just how it was back then. It doesn't mean that it was right. It really doesn't mean that it was right, but it was a different time. He is writing in his time. It happens anyway. You rise from your seat hurriedly, beating the passage to the aisle, from whence you descend the dust and chalked steps towards the sublime object of your affections. Pardon me. Above and behind your personage, and through issuing from theater's balcony seats or Indeed, the very heavens. A trio of ghostly voices usher you ever forward. As I live, there she is, cries one. Surprisingly beautiful, exclaims a second. An angel above, ejaculates a third. Sorry. The term ejaculates and everything, was meant for voices. Words. The English? God, what is wrong with me? You turn gingerly, retrieving a pair of ivory-rimmed spectacles from your left jacket pocket, and raising them to your eyes, peer intently upward, but to no avail. The balcony seats are empty. Turning back, spectacles perched upon your nose, you immediately recoil in horror, with a throttled gasp. Your astonishment is profound. Indeed, one might even say it is horrific. Before your eyes as a hideous transfiguration has taken place. The face before you no longer wears the mask of youth. Gaze in horror. Hello. Door opening. And closing. Can it be? Rogue? Or Rouge? Anyway, can those be wrinkles? By Jupiter, and every one of the gods and goddesses, little and big, what has become of her teeth? You dash your spectacles violently to the ground and stand, with arms set akimbo, grinning and foaming, utterly speechless with terror and rage. The lady, you shudder as you think of the word, looks affronted. Well, monsieur? She asks, what is the matter? What is the matter? You wretch, you cry. You villainous old hag. I thought you a veritable Carmen. Speak, dubious crone, how many years have you? I thought you be 10 summers and 12. Ag? Age? I am not so very old. After all, me not a single day more than 82. 82? 82? You ejaculate, staggering to the wall of grief and horror. 8,200,000 baboons! You die in a pit, and leave shame. You are dead. See, this is what you get for insulting a lady. A French one at that. Okay, I'm going to end this here because I don't want to restart again. And maybe I'll get back to this, maybe I won't. I don't know. I like Edgar Allan Poe so much. I might actually do some readings of some of his poems sometimes. I really like them. And I really like Edgar Allan Poe. His poems are beautiful. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. It's very interesting. I don't usually do choose your own adventures. Do you like it? Do you not? Should I continue? Should I not? Should I try to at least enunciate my words more? Probably. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you had a wonderful time regardless of my speech impediments. And I hope to see you all so very soon. Peace out. Bye-bye.